So clearly you're watching this video because you're interested in the naturalistic garden style. So I want to just share a little bit about this style and how you can incorporate it into your own home garden. Naturalistic style garden reflects the natural landscape that surrounds it, whether it's the prairies of the Midwest, the fields of New England, the fields of wildflowers in Texas, or the starkly beautiful deserts of the Southwest. The reason that this style is so varied is because it relies a lot on the native plantings, and those plantings and the plants that grow in the particular area that you live will vary depending on where you live. So it can be very different in style depending on your geographic location. The biggest goal of naturalistic garden style is to conserve resources and reduce your environmental footprint. So if you're interested in that, I have some tips for you. My name is Amy and I help home gardeners design landscapes that are uniquely you through courses, books, and information on this YouTube channel and on my website. So if you're interested in designing your very own 4-season landscape, I invite you to subscribe to this channel and also check out all the links to tons of resources in the description below. So if you're looking to design a naturalistic style garden at home, here are some of my best tips. The first is to use native plants and grasses. While you don't actually have to use natives in order to accomplish this style, they really do help a lot, especially the grasses. The naturalistic style has a big focus on the plants, and the hardscaping and all the other items in your garden kind of take a back seat to the plantings. So typically these types of gardens look like they almost weren't planted by human beings. So lots of different colors, lots of variety of plants. And I think using natives in this case is what makes a naturalistic style garden really fun and unique, because natives will change depending on where you live in the world. So that use of natives will give your garden a real sense of place. And when you step into that garden, you'll get a real feel for the area in which it was planted, and that'll make it feel more natural. When I think about garden styles, I like to use a sliding scale or a spectrum, and naturalistic style gardens in the color and range of plants falls at the very end, so the broadest amount of colors and the broadest amount of plants. And that kind of ties back into using lots of wildflowers and lots of natives and making it feel like it wasn't really planted by an individual, that it just showed up there out of nature. I'd also recommend using long-lived, robust plants that quote unquote die elegantly. So because there's such a huge focus on plants in this type of style, it's important to choose plants that will bloom for a long time so you get a lot of bang for your buck. But also consider what the plant looks like when it's not in bloom, and not just when there's 0 flowers at all, but from birth to bloom, and then from bloom to death, and from death to decay. So what does it look like as it's fading out of bloom, and is that really attractive in your garden? And I guess whether it's attractive or not is based on the person and what they think, but I think a lot of the naturalistic style garden designers will really consider the decay of the plant to be a really beautiful element of the garden. It adds another layer of texture and interest. As it changes, your garden can change with it, and that's a really exciting part of naturalistic style gardens that I really love. And finally, the naturalistic style garden, the hardscaping and the features in the garden aren't really the showcase, the plants are. So when you're choosing materials, think lumpy and bumpy is the best way I can describe it. So choose natural furniture that kind of blends in with the surroundings, natural wood that's not stained or not colored in any way. Things that kind of blend in that you would just discover as you were going through the garden are really great to add to the naturalistic style of your garden without making the human elements very obvious to people as they look at the garden. And I think that's kind of the key feature of it too. So a few examples that I can think of are like a stacked stone wall, maybe some gravelly stone on a path, or even using a log and cutting it up into slices and making wood rounds as paths. I mean, it doesn't have to be naturally there, but giving that natural element to the look of your pathways would be really interesting. Flagstone would work great for a patio area, a rustic fire pit or fireplace. I think there's also a lot you can do with edging in this style of garden. So using old fallen trees or logs along the garden to make an edge, or even stacked stones, field stones that you're finding on the property and things like that. There's a lot that you can really do to add that human touch to the garden without overdoing it and making that the actual feature instead of the plant. So while you're adding these features and pathways and different pieces into your garden, just always consider that the plants should be the main focus of this garden and not your features, if that makes sense. Make your features not features. I just wanted to point out that everybody should have their own unique garden, so you can obviously mix the different garden styles together to create something that is unique to you. So let your imagination run wild and don't feel too constrained about it. The only caution or warning I'd give you is to try not to do too much too fast. So if you'd want to combine two different styles, take hardscaping elements from one and maybe the planting colors and the amount of plants you use from another, and just try combining two. You can always add to it later, but don't go too crazy in the beginning until you get the hang of it. If you like this video and you want to take your garden style to the next level, I'd love for you to check out my garden style mood board workshop, where we'll build on these main garden styles and then take it to the next level to add more personality and your own personal style into the garden. So I'll leave a link to that in the description below, and if you want to learn more about all of the different garden styles, I'll leave a link to that playlist right here. I'll see you over in the next video. Bye for now.